These ladies and gentlemen may have come to listen to what they think is a great man, but this is just a feeble man seeking to be emptied of you as we learn. Now, teacher, Father, our friend, our Savior, our King, our Lord, we enthrone you again this afternoon as the teacher of all our businesses, because you say in Deuteronomy that it is you who trains our hands how to make wealth. So teach us how to be diligent and to be great stewards of our businesses for your cause. In Jesus' name, amen. Ancient words, ever true, changing me and changing you. Well, we have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Thank you. It's amazing to be here this afternoon. As I said, my name is David Osiany. Bantus have a problem because some of them call me Osiany, and I agree. I just say, okay, kama umeona ni hivyo, ni sawa. But I am Osiany because my name at the end is the way you spell nyama. You don't say niama, you just say nyama. Sasa mimi ni Osiany. Unakatia hapo nya, usiende kwa ama, na nipata hapo. This afternoon, we want to explore opportunities for business. As you have been told, I have been blessed of the Lord to serve our country as the Chief Administrative Secretary. Or where's our Namibian sister? Walalapo. Nice to see you. The Chief Administrative in this country is what is known as a Deputy Minister in your country. So I have served for the last 1.5 years as the CAS for Trade. And in that time, I have developed a very acute passion for SMEs. Such acute passion, because that is the key driver for our businesses. I'll be making a presentation here, so you will be seeing part of me and part of the presentation. But here's the rider. Listen more to what I shall say, even as you take notes about what's on the board. Kenya is in Africa. Give me the first slide. You know Kenya is in Africa? Are you sure? Or Africa is in Kenya, or vice versa, the both is true. Our country boasts a population of roughly about 54 million people as a country. That market alone, if we zeroed in on it, you cannot satisfy it. We have not been able to. And you will see why. And this is why businesses need to open their eyes. 54 million people. Our GDP is at 110 billion US dollars. Our GDP per capita is at 2006 USD. Our total FDI inflows, as declared last year, stood at 717 million US dollars. That's about 90 billion Kenya shillings. That's how we stand. But in the last 11 years, what has happened significantly, which is noteworthy, is that we've had 73.9% growth between 2010 to 2021. Ndio mjue wa Kenya walali. Wanafanya kazi. We've had significant growth. And now we are no longer a third world country, but we are a middle income economy. Yes. Makofi ya rais mstaafu na deputy wake then and the president now. Wapi makofi? Next slide. Now, We have strengthened our system so much. We are economically liberal. Means if you decide to come and do business in this country from Namibia, you can repatriate your resources back to Windhoek. That city is not called Windhoek. Nisiwasikie. You people pretend as though you've been there. Just to know that David, so that when you're telling stories, if you want to lie, just lie a little, not too much, if you want to. But God does not allow us to lie. Sasa ukiamua kupiga story na upite mipaka na udanganye, useme hata nilikuwa Windhoek. That's how you will look like you know what you're talking about. So if you wanted to invest in Kenya, and we hope you do, and repatriate your resources to Windhoek, we will allow you to do that. We have liberalized our economy. It's been a big help for investors seeking to invest in our country. We have a great investment promotion strategy to facilitate investment in country, to promote investment in and out of country. We support businesses that want to open up outside, and I will tell you through who, because we have agencies that even support exportation and stuff like that. We are very keen on facilitating businesses. If you visit, for example, our headquarters for Kenya Investment Authority, which is under my ministry, we have a one-stop center where, as a business person, you walk in. You have Kenya Power to connect you to power. You have business registration services to register your company immediately at no extra fee. So those of you who love lawyers, charging them 55,000. Oops, sorry, nimeharibia lawyer. Sorry. Pole. I didn't mean to say that. You go there, you have National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA. You have the Special Economic Zone Authority. All of them, one-stop center. You walk in and walk out with everything. Hapa ndio mnasemanga amen kwa serikali. Na makofi kidogo. Yes. So if you visited our Ken Invest headquarters at the old Mutual Towers, you will be amazed how much goes on there. And most of the time, those guys are just sitting there. Under the leadership of my cabinet secretary, outgoing, because we are on our way out. No, yeah, unless the Lord says otherwise. Yes. We started what is known as the Biashara Center. Biashara Center is where you interact with all our 20 parastatals in a one-stop center. There are 4 across the country. There's one in Nairobi, in Kariobangi, because that's where SMEs are. You posh Karen guys, we know we will saidia you. If you kuja, we will saidia you. Our Kariobangi Micro and Small Enterprise Authority Center hosts our Biashara Center because we are trying to reach out to the nano and the micro as well, even as we reach out to the small and medium enterprises. And so for the medium and large enterprises, you can visit our place, our Ken Invest headquarters. But we have Biashara centers across the country. We piloted 4. They've done well. We hope to replicate this, or we hope the next administration now can continue with the rest of this work. When you go to Kisumu, we are at the headquarters of Kirdi. When you go to Eldoret and Mombasa, we sit at the headquarters of our Kenya Bureau of Standards offices. Because, and it's something I championed for, I'm not going to say it's my brainchild. Let me not say. You know, we champion for this so that we connect businesses to our processes. You realize someone leaves, wants to go register for a company, you're told run to this place, go to KRA, and our Biashara centers even have KRA officers. So that whatever you need, it's a one-stop center for all of you who need any assistance from our ministry. Very serious facilitation for investment and as well as promotion. We have worked to attract investors into the country. In 2010, Kenya was ranked 138th globally and 14th in Africa in the Ease of Doing Business Index. Today, as I speak to you, we are ranked 56th globally and third in Africa. Forgive my globally. I was hanging out with Kamau. Sasa unaona influence. Kamau wewe unaniumiza. Unafanya nangoa globally. Yeah. But that's been the marked transformation this country has undergone. The only countries in Africa performing better than us in ease of doing business are Mauritius and Rwanda. Lakini even them, we've put them on notice. Yeah, we don't want to lag behind. Listen, we are Kenya. We are the people who taught the world how to move money on the phone. We are the only human species alive on earth who have done a marathon under 2 hours. The only one. No, none other. Globally. None. So, Mauritius, Rwanda, we put them on notice. But what's even most important for you to note is that we are second in Africa in the Logistic Performance Index. Which means if you're a businessman seeking to invest locally and internationally, we are a reputable logistics hub. It's easy to access numerous markets from this country. I'm opening your eyes because this has been my strategy. I want us to move from the nano and move the nano businesses into the micro space and move the micro businesses into the small space. Move the small businesses into the medium space and the medium businesses into the large enterprise space. We want growth. We don't want you to say, hata mimi, Mungu ananipenda. Unajua 5 years ago, Jehova alinihudumia, nilikuwa nauza gazeti. Nimepata profit ya 1,100 na sasa ona Yesu ameleta profit ya 150,000 after 5 years. Bwana asifiwe. We want after 5 years, by God's help and grace, you're able to move your gazette businesses into selling the Financial Times magazine, into selling the specialized magazines, and your income grows and you open a larger store for doing big things. And soon before we know it, you have a niche bookshop just selling books on financials. Now you will be talking. Hello? Are we together? Now, this is a pie chart. More or less showing the various sectors and how they contribute into our GDP. Agriculture contributes 23% into our GDP. But sadly, only 3% of Kenya's total revenues. You see that mismatch? Mnacheza na agriculture. I'm coming to show you why you need to look at agribusiness as a huge opportunity for making the extra buck. Because we are children of the King. Which means we are princes and princesses. I can tell you, it is not the desire of the Lord that we live in want. If we claim his promises and by his helping hand, we can do businesses, do it well, do it clean, be wealthy and happy. Leave this story of it is hard for a rich man, as hard as the eye of the needle for a wealthy man to get into heaven. For wacha yo maneno. My friend, wealthy men who know the Lord will be inheritors of the kingdom. Are we together? 23% contribution. The manufacturing segment, 7.6% into our sector. You see mining, electricity and water supply, construction, wholesale and retail, 8.1%. All right? Finance and insurance, the financial sector is also quite big. The ICT sector has a pie of 2.5%, but has really significantly contributed into our economy. Transport and storage, real estate, education, healthcare. Healthcare is the fastest growing sector today in Africa. You want to know where the money is? I just told you. Next slide. Now, Kenya is very blessed to be a member of very many organizations. We have multilateral agreements on trade. We are members of the East Africa community. The entry of DRC alone into the EAC effective this year, one of the biggest achievements of our retired president, by the way. The entry of the DRC alone into the EAC has made East Africa community as huge as the American market. Many of you are doing businesses not knowing that you can export to Africa and the EAC and these regions duty-free. So all of us are looking here. We are fighting about here. We are not talking export of goods. We are not talking export of our services. We are members of COMESA. Recently, I've just hosted the chair for Mauritius Economic Development Board, who reports to the Prime Minister. So he's a very senior government officer. And Mauritius and Egypt are members of COMESA. Essentially, you can import and export duty-free. Most of the things we import from COMESA countries are zero-rated. And others have preferential duty rates on them, not as other places we import from. So you are selling furniture. China is a good place. Mauritius may be making more sense for you financially. I don't know. We are members of COMESA. We have agreements and we have signed on to the AGOA agreement so that we can access the American market. In fact, most of our people in the EPZs, which I will talk about later, because all of you think when we say EPZ, oh, ni pale mnatengeneza ma jeans na nguo. There's so much that goes on in there. And that's under me as well. I'll clarify that because there's a lot of misinformation. This just shows you our total imports are 17.43 billion US dollars. But our exports are a paltry third. This is how I look at it. Whenever we import, we are telling the world that we are incapable. God help us. I will show you sectors where we are literally just joking, like the leather industry and sector, like tea, chai, where we are the third largest producers in the world. We are the ones who have the highest yield per acreage than anywhere in the world. Third largest producers. But do you know how much of our tea is value added? 5%. Now, understandably, automation is going to take over because global competitiveness is pushing companies to automate. And I understand the agony of our good governors when they're in dire straits because people are saying tunaachishwa kazi. But when we create manufacturing locally for our tea and we add only 30% more onto what we are doing as value addition to our tea. Anyone listening to me? Go and open tea factories and do value addition. The money in tea is crazy. And we are comfortable. This is the tragedy of being comfortable. So we take our tea, it's auctioned in the Netherlands, and then now you are told the people who earn the most from tea is Germany. They don't even own 3 acres of tea. Wanangojanga tu Netherlands, munapiga bei, wanaleta hiyo bei ya Kenya. You know, auction is auction. Anasema, mimi niko na 100 inaenda. Hapana, mimi niko na 80 inaenda hapo moja 80 75 79 until you know someone starts at 33 shillings a kilo. 33 inaenda 33 39 41. Then what should have fetched you 3,000 is sold at 600 and you go, oh my God. But you're comfortable because it's still our leading export. Chat ndio ile, our leading export. 124 million US dollars. That one, our exports. Our biggest exports, tea, cut flowers, petroleum oil, coffee. But what do we import more? Because then this informs what we lack most locally. That's how you need to look at it. Petroleum oils, palm oil and extracts. Where are the people from coast? Anyone from coastal region here? Abdallah, ujaja? I can see. Yes. Medicaments, the pharma industry. We are seeking to boost our pharmaceutical industry locally. We import everything, India, China, and yet we are Africa's leading producer of pharmaceutical, which means if we appreciated that sector, invested in it, those who can, and benefited the value chain. Because when we invest in sectors, what they do is there is abundance, the prices go down, the amount of money is made in the value chain will be a lot because of the magnitude of the supply. Watu wa business, ninaongea kitu iko ama naongea zangu. Mnajua mnaweza sema waziri wacha zako. Unasema nonsense. You agree? Next slide. We are a very blessed country. Kenyan business people, you are blessed. So blessed that I think if our colleagues and neighbors saw how much we are blessed and how little we are doing with our blessing, even God would look down and say, hapa watoto wangu wanacheza, wacha wasumbuke. Hawajaelewa. I have been to parts of my village and around it where we boast the largest freshwater lake on the continent. But we are currently dying of hunger. Okay. Now, we have the SGR. We enjoy 4 international airports. We have the Mombasa port, and the Lamu port has just begun and it's going, if completed as originally envisaged, the Lamu port will be the largest port in Africa. The largest. The largest in Africa. Now, you have 2 ports, you have 4 international airports, you have, even if it's a standard gauge railway, it works. And works well for goods and cargo. But the problem is, goods are imported. They leave Mombasa. They come into Nairobi. Some of them terminate in Naivasha. Then all those bogies go back empty. No production. All of them. So we're just burning fuel, going back to do nothing. Fuel that should benefit Kenyans who have decided to invest in value addition. Who have decided to invest in agriculture. Who have decided to invest in art. Who have decided to invest in whichever sector. They go back empty. Every day, they go down from Mombasa and they go back empty. We must decide to be a country of producers. Listen, if we are going to create jobs in this country, we must look at the manufacturing sector. I know it is comfortable to do businesses as usual, but value addition is where the real money is. The real money, both in terms of profit and in terms of creating jobs for this economy. And don't wait for government to do it. Government is a facilitator of the private sectors. You find someone makes 50 million shillings from business today. He passes by Toyota Kenya and says, umesema muko na ile V8 kama ya baba? Ni pesa ngapi? 23 million. Oh, okay. ndani ni beige. Ya beige ni 26. Hiyo ndio nataka. What 26 million would help you do for value addition is setting up a mini factory to be able to make puree from mangoes in Makueni. What it would help you do is to be able to set a middle-sized, proper packaging plant for peanuts. It would help you change potatoes, into crisps and throw them into the market with our help. And everyone wants to scramble for, because now I see, we are currently Africa's largest producer of avocado. But we are exporting raw avocado. If we harnessed our potential to be able to work and produce avocado oil locally, my friend, the money in it is crazy. Crazy. When you think it goes to China to do what? To be eaten. You think they go to eat your unripe avocado? You're busy stealing from each other's farms here in Kenya to go and make an extra few shillings. Of course they go to process it and get the oil from it. Mimi nimepata eka 10, nishajipanga vizuri, nimeweka avocado eka 50. Good start. Ni hata hiyo season after 3 years nimeambiwa nikipiga hesabu ya my plants inaweza toa kg ngapi tukiexport. Mna upuzi. Ni mna upuzi sana. The government is on a trajectory of ensuring that we meet our original goal of Vision 2030 as envisaged by President Mwai Kibaki, taken over and pushed by President Uhuru Kenyatta, now inherited by President William Ruto. But I want you guys to be able to interact with these things a bit more intimately than just see them and say, oh, Vision 2030. Nikawauliza saa hii, Vision 2030 ni nini? Kila mtu atapata wakati wa maombi. Wacha niombe kwanza. Uliza, the next one nikiomba. Namaliza. The long-term development blueprint is there in place. There are numerous opportunities in all the 8 priority sectors. There is the oil and gas sector. Tanzania is now partnering with us, and gas is going to be big business. Anyone listening to me, don't leave here until you go and research on opportunities in gas. Tanzania is creating a line because they are endowed with huge reserves for natural gas. Gas is going to be big business. Listen. Umesikia nimesema nini? Manufacturing sector has been aided and supported by government. The Ministry of Industrialization, Trade and Enterprise, whose representative I am, has organizations, and I want you to take note of them because I'm going to say them randomly. You may not meet them anyway after this. If you're going to start a brand of your drinking juice, or if you want to start a brand of your crisps, tomorrow wake up in the morning and go to a place known as KIPI, Kenya Industrial Properties Institute. When you get there, you will get your trademark. The most painful thing I've witnessed among SMEs is they start brilliant things. They come with a brilliant idea. It's not patented. It's not trademarked. Shrewd businessmen who don't know the Lord, and businesswomen, just come, you go naively saying, I've come up with this brilliant idea. This is an app I'm trying to create. This is a financial solution I'm building. They just listen and say, oh, and they call their technical guy. Can you listen to what this guy is saying? When you leave the office, the first thing they do is to call KIPI. They trademark and patent your idea. You can cry to the Lord. He will hear you. He will. He will answer you, but not in the way you expect. Anyone who's hearing me today, take note of Kenya Industrial Properties Institute. What's more, if your youth below 35 years old, or 35 and below, your patent and trademarks will be done for free. That's one of the biggest achievements I am proud of as having achieved in that office. Makofi kidogo. Ama mpigi makofi mnaniombea, Yesu anibariki. Because I hate to see young engineers have come up with innovative ideas, young IT guys, innovative ideas, young producers. Some are doing amazing work out there. They come up with nice logo. Kesho, patented, gone. Oh, I'm the first person to make crisps from cassava. Wapi. Kesho, patented, gone. The next one after Kipi. Any person in manufacturing today needs to interact closely with an organization known as the Kenya Industrial Estates. Maybe the name needs to change because it doesn't spell the desire to relate anywhere with manufacturing. But the Kenya Industrial Estates was originally thought out to create dignified working environments for small and medium enterprises. Today, it no longer does that because most of its shades were grabbed in the years gone. But what it does is to facilitate people in the manufacturing sector. I love the story of a young man called John, just outside Eldoret, who came. The first loan he got was 300,000 shillings. 10% on reducing balance, just as your SACCOs may do or ABSA is trying to do. You know, I take note, ABSA is a sponsor. Hi, ABSA. We will talk. We need to do single-digit loaning. But the gentleman came, borrowed 300,000, and listen to the story of diligence. After 6 months, he repaid, and when he was borrowing after the 6 months, he borrowed 3 million shillings. But he was so good. He was starting his Kataini grain milling place. Fast forward, 3.5 years later, he got the highest limit of our loan, which is 20 million shillings. But he had been so good that whereas it is a law for us to require collateral, we didn't need it. His consistency spoke. He de-risked himself. Huyo, tukasema hapa, kikiumana kikipotea, kipotee. Now employing 120 people. He's only 37. Now, some parts of our country have a bad credit culture. Ukichukua pesa ya kufanya biashara, usiende ulipe rent Karen. Fanya biashara. Guys, Kenya Industrial Estates, if you're seeking to export, anyone who seeks to export, you want to export anything or explore other markets outside Kenya, we have the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, commonly known as KEPROBA, what used to be called Brand Kenya. Visit the website, note it down, go and read, because the Lord also loves us to be healthy upstairs, okay? So read. We will not spoon feed because I can see in no time I'll be told to get out of this stage. If you want, there are 2 programs I'll be talking about in depth. The Export Processing Zone Program and the Special Economic Zone Program. And you will understand how some of you do the same businesses, but one person seems to be making more returns than yourself because they position themselves right. If you are a small micro enterprise We have built things known as the constituency industrial development centers. They are in all constituencies. Most of them underutilized. Because I think people have the notion, so long as it's called constituency, ni ya CDF, apana, ni ya serikali kuu. The constituency industrial development centers are places that we have done, provided water, provided electricity, ensure that you can do what you do. I love the story of a lady in Karachuonyo. She owns a bakery. And in 2 years, her revenues are upwards of 30 million shillings from a tiny place we gave her. Go and visit the Micro, Small and Enterprise Authority. MSEA. Micro, Small and Enterprise? Please, I'm a teacher. Micro, Small and Enterprise? Take note. If you are a young person trying to get into manufacturing, without know-how, please visit KIRDI, Kenya Industrial Research Development Institute. By the way, I could talk about examples from KIRDI, starting from the young lady who does perfumes that are stocked in our supermarkets in Kenya. 26-year-old who went into KIRDI and said, this is what I like, was told how to formulate it, was taught over 6 months, and is now doing perfumes. Certified by KEBS. Ni Kenya serikali. Hii serikali mnasema haifanyi kitu. Inafanya vitu mingi ni nyinyi hamjui. KIRDI. Kenya Industrial Research Development Institute is in South Sea. Go and visit those institutions. So we have business process, offshoring, IT-enabled services. All these are sectors. The agriculture, wholesale, as envisaged, the 8 of them by Vision 2030. Next. Now, over the last 5 years, manufacturing has accounted for about 20% of our FDIs. And the good thing, we try to export outside Kenya. So 60% of our manufactured exports go to the EAC market. And you know, when we say the EAC market, we start with they are eaten at home more than they're even going to Uganda. But we are doing a good job in trying to get our brands outside Uganda there. And 40% to the rest of the world. Mostly Africa. Okay? Textile and apparel production, 90% of our fabric is imported. Now, the government has recently lifted the ban on GMOs. And it is a discussion because I know it is a very heated discussion. I choose to be a businessman in this discussion. If you come from the dry areas of this country, go and buy tracts of land and prepare to do BT cotton. You are going to be a billionaire in 5 years. Come with me. I am also headed there. If you come from Kitui, if you come from Tana River, if you come from parts of Siaya, if you come from Wajir, Mandera, if you come from dry parts of this country, listen to me and listen to me well. Rivertex is paying farmers for cotton that has not yet grown. Wanakulipa for keeping cotton on the farm today. There is a huge global shortage of cotton. BT cotton, which is a GMO cotton, is going to be big, booming business. Don't forfeit that parcel of land in the village because you come from Tana River and you think it's too dry. Or Marsabit, or Samburu, or parts of Narok and Kajiado, or parts of Makueni. Get ready. Msiseme sikuwaambi. We import $86 million worth of shoes. In fact, right now it's $103 billion worth of shoes. I'm coming to the leather sector and you will see ile mchezo tuko nayo Kenya. Tuko na mchezo. Business people, open your eyes. That's what has brought me here today. Mine is very local. I'm not coming to discuss that high-level, high-minded policy, borrowing. Next. Construction, great industry, heavy industry, ICT products and services. Next. 80% of our fish and fishing is based on Nile perch. And it is for local consumption. If I told you the price of Nile perch out here, you will stop eating like you have done with avocado, which you have stopped eating, you are exporting. So we are a country dying of hunger because we do farming for sale, not for consumption. So we are dying of hunger, but we are selling. Hii ni mzuri. Daddy naeza onja hiyo, wewe nikupate. Hiyo unajua ni pesa ngapi? Weka kwa gunia, inaenda China. The sugar sector is another sector, but we need to look at producing industrial sugar for this region. Industrial sugar. Conversations have been on. I work for government, so even when I feel tumeanguka, sitase. Next. You will need to know that Kenya enjoys duty-free exports of fruits and vegetables to the European Union and the Middle East. Did you know that? But that is to lure you also so that you don't do value addition. So it's good. When you watauza wapate pesa ndio waingie value addition, pia ni sawa. But just know, because Africa accounts for 40% of the world's arable land, if we exhausted our potential with our arable land, we would be self-sufficient. If we added value to our products and met global standards and even just traded intra-African, the amounts of money we would make are crazy. But because we start somewhere, those of you who had already intended, just know that in the EU and Middle East, fruits and vegetables are zero rated. You can export for free. Bwana sifiwe. The tuber crop next. Now, how many people are from Kericho, Bomet, Nandi, Beba Mkono? Proudly, just carry up your hand. Bwana sifiwe. Shoot your hand up straight. Come on. Yeah. I want to address you at this particular juncture. And parts of Kiambu that does tea, and Amira, Kisii. Tea is our country's largest forex earner, accounting for 23% of our forex, not GDP. Forex, tea. The tea sector employs 600,000 farmers directly, and so indirectly we would be talking about 2 million or 1.8 million. Our total production of tea is 537 million tons annually. Kenya is blessed, as I said, to have the highest production per acre known in the world. Our productivity, our yield is 2,400 tons per hectare, which is the highest in the world. Highest. Now, we exported $130 billion, a billion shillings, last year. But sadly, what percent of our export is value added? Now, do you know how much we are losing per kilo? $12. 1,400 per kilo. Essentially, we are throwing to someone a profit of 1,400 to take our tea, add a little bit money to it, flavor it, package it nicely, produce it, and 1,400 shillings per kilo. If you did calculations of what would happen if we only achieved 50%, just 50% of value addition for our tea, Expressway tungekuwa tumelipa kitambo. I am inviting you, ladies and gentlemen, to consider manufacturing and value addition seriously. When you see people from Laikipia throwing away vegetables, waru, zinaoza, it's because we have refused to embrace value addition. If we had one factory built up even by a cooperative in that part of the country to do value addition to waru, they would not even have enough. Next slide. Sasa watu wa ng'ombe. Ni sawa. Look at the opportunities in livestock. The livestock sector accounts for 12% of our GDP. Out of the 30-40% wholesomely contributed into by agriculture and agro-processing, livestock accounts for 12% of that. Livestock sector takes 50% of our agricultural labor force. Kamua, nini, take care of just livestock. Yes, that's how big this sector is. This sector. It supports 10 million livelihoods. What should interest you is that Africa owns 20% of the total global livestock population. Kenya is the third largest owner of herds of cows. Let's narrow it down to cows. Sisi, ng'ombe. Lakini tunachinja ng'ombe. Nasema, you have that dog called Bosco. Bosco, chukua ngozi. I have a friend of mine called Professor. He has a dog called Bosco. Chukua ngozi, chukua ngozi. The amount of losses we are making is crazy, and we have a very bad culture. I think part of the tragedy we have is our education system taught us to go to school so that we get jobs, not so that we create solutions. So everyone graduates, someone has done a degree in leather production, and is in Nairobi. He's not in Tana River or in Northeastern where there are hides. He doesn't even know the tanneries we have in Kenya. He just goes, Waziri, mazeni patie connect. Waziri tafadhali. And when I tell them, I am praying that the Lord will open your eyes to the opportunities in business. So, wewe pia unaongea, si hata wewe umeajiriwa. When I tell them, I am David, but I employ more than 70 people. The president found me in the SME sector, employing more than 70 young people at 32. So I'm telling you what works. That's why I'm not worried about transition, whether I am in or I am out. Chances are I can only be wealthier when I'm out. Then now they say, Waziri nipatie tu kazi. They now climb down. Yes, the government has a duty to create jobs, and I am praying that God will help us, but it is going to come from you, private sector. When you create manufacturing, when you improve the manufacturing sector, create value addition plants across the country, you will absorb this entire workforce. But there is also need for us to look out at the opportunities that are available for us. You've done leather production. Teach the parts of this country that keep a lot of cows on how to basically preserve their hides and skin, then look for the people to buy. Just be a connect. there'll be business there. You may not have transport. Enda kwa website, tafuta simu. Sema mimi niko na ngozi bwana. Unaweza kujia ngozi 300 kila wiki. Make yourself useful in the community. You will have created money for community. You will have created money for self and for country. Ouch, nimekanyaga pabaya. Sawa, pole. And yet we import $1 billion worth of shoes. My friend, we can't even satisfy the population of students, the pupils, primary, secondary school students who need at least a pair every year. If we got serious with this sector, private sector, do your job. Government has to do its job, but governments are facilitators of the private sector. Can someone get up and be an aggregator for the people in the sector of livestock who waste their skin and find the right? Ask me. Naeza uza wapi ngozi, mimi nina ngozi, I'll tell you. One of the initiatives I have run was called the Biashara Tuesdays, where every Tuesday I sit down with my CEOs and we discuss business and the opportunities for business on my Facebook page. Because I realize government has initiatives, but there's also just a lot of information out there that would be known to me that's not known to you. So we exhaust it on Biashara Tuesdays. And I've seen one of my proteges, Derek, stand up. You know this young man, I met him last week. I put him on my Facebook page. I told him I'd be coming and I told him pay and attend. Because if you don't pay, I'll not be paid. But now, this young man came to my office. He sought to meet me. I didn't know him. He walked into my office, asked the mother to seek an appointment with me. My chief of staff told me I granted it. And when he came, I was so impressed. He's an aeronautical logistician. He's 25. He works for Signon. So those of you who want to explore markets out there, talk to the young man well. But his questions were so pointed. He had genuine desire. Be seated. Genuine desire to learn. And he narrated my Biashara Tuesday episodes as though they were meant for him alone. Such hunger for information around business is what will transform us into millionaires and billionaires. Next. There's opportunity in fishing sector. The blue economy right now, the blue economy sector is one of the sectors that we need to closely look at. Those of you who come from the coast, those of you who come from around Lake Turkana, those of you who come from around Lake Victoria, those of you who come from around Lake Nakuru. Yes, that shrinking one. There are massive opportunities for business in the blue economy sector. The world is turning itself towards that sector just as much as they are towards green energy. So, one of the special economic zones we have across the country is owned by a gentleman known as David Langat, the Africa Economic Zone in Eldoret. And the guy has just decided to make a forest of solar panels. Here is the good news to him. In the next 3 to 4 years, David Langat will almost single-handedly be supplying the entire power in Uasin Gishu, Nandi, and Trans Nzoia counties. Haya nyi laleni tu. Tasema Mungu natuonea umepatia wengine ukatunyima, nishawaambia. The shipping sector, the water transport sector, all these are opportunities that are going to come up as we explore partnerships with places like Tanzania. If you come from around Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay, Migori, access to the second largest city of Tanzania called Mwanza, Bukoba. If you're not there, usiseme sikukwambia. Prepare for export, but value addition, value addition, value addition, value addition. Next. I've spoken about renewable energy, be it wind, biomass, solar, biogas, geothermal. The wind sector is important to take note of, just as you are doing with solar. Biomass is very important. In fact, one of the world's largest producer of avocado oil is known as Olivado. Olivado has set up a company in Kenya, in Muranga. And they export 95% of their products. They have such a massive biomass plant that it runs the entire factory. 70% of their energy costs are from within. 10% from solar, 20% ndio wanapatia Kenya Power. Nichezeni tu. Next. There are opportunities. We have the Konza Technopolis, which is a special economic zone. All of you who want to join the Silicon Savannah, all of you who are in tech, IT, don't just export goods. You can export your service also. Fairly cheaply. You can operate from there, and their taxes you will never know until Christ comes back. Next. Opportunities in construction, as you all know. Next. Now, Kenya runs one of the most ambitious industrial park programs. There are two of them actually. The Export Processing Zone program run by EPZA, the Export Processing Zone Authority, and the Special Economic Zone program. We have 82 gazetted EPZs across the country. 77 are privately owned, 5 are publicly owned zones. So ile ya Kitengela mnajua, hiyo ya Ruaraka, hizo ni publicly owned. Did you know that Delaru is a special economic zone? That they've set up to export money so that we don't charge them for it a lot. When you join our EPZ, you have a 10-year corporate tax holiday if you're on the Export Processing Zone program. 25% for the next 10 years and 30% thereafter. So for the first 10 years we say, hakuna corporate tax, we chapa biashara. After that, between the 10th to 20th, tunakuchapa 25%, alafu 30% after 30 years. Sasa. The same for withholding tax. 10-year tax holiday on remittances to non-residents. 100% investment deduction allowance on building and machinery. And perpetual exemption from payment of stamp duty on legal instruments. Perpetual exemption from VAT and customs import duty on raw materials and machinery. If you set up in our EPZ and you're producing to export to Ghana, because we allow, the EPZ allows only 20% of your total production to be sold to the local market. The local market is East Africa Community, not Kenya. So 80% of your production must go outside the EAC. But when you set up in there, my friend, any machinery that you are using there, you will import duty-free. Special Economic Zones programs. We have 15 gazetted ones, 12 private, 3 are public. Actually 4. We have what you know as Ndongo Kundu. That's a special economic zone. Naivasha, where the railway terminates. Let's get a story. Oh, the railway to nowhere. It terminates in Naivasha in a special economic zone. We have the Miwani Special Economic Zone in Kisumu County that's coming up. And finally, we have the Konza Technopolis Special Economic Zone. So msidhani, oh, Konza, sisi sio watu wa computer. That's a special economic zone. What do you enjoy there? 10% corporate tax holiday for the first 10 years, 15 for the next 10 years, and 30. Exemption from stamp duty and import declaration fee. Supply of goods and taxable services to an SEZ is exempt from VAT. And any machinery you bring into that place or raw materials that you need for your work are tax free. This is the information you didn't know. Whatever you do with it, The other benefits you get in our zones: full operation under one single license, project approval and licensing within 30 days. Foreign currency accounts and offshore borrowing is allowed, so we don't have exchange controls. Unrestricted investment by foreigners and locals. So a lot of people have left foreigners to just come and invest, and we are not investing when we have capacity to even pool together and invest. Oil sites, on-site customs documentation, investor facilitation and aftercare, high security standards, the green channel port clearance. We try as much as possible to teach our people, and we have demarcated special economic zones and export processing zones. Now, for special economic zones, we don't want mushrooming of one company. So you have to find, even if it's a privately owned zone, and enjoy, or a public one. You can visit the Special Economic Zones Authority, CESA. Visit their website. They are on the same building with Can Invest, which I said, Old Mutual Building. You can also visit EPZA, which is headquartered in Kitengela. Next. Now, when all is said and done, ladies and gentlemen, we could be great business people, but there has to be a difference between a businessman who knows the Lord and one who doesn't. I want us to be Christian business ladies and gentlemen. What shall we do? Believe in God and invite Him into your business. Take Him at His word, as He says in Deuteronomy 8:18. The Lord says, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." Usijione mjanja. Depend on Him. Because it is He who will tweak your mind to the opportunities you may not have seen or known. This may be one of those, but many others you will encounter beyond this. Secondly, next slide. Let's endeavor to be responsible and honest. Luke 16 verse 10. Whoever can be trusted with little can also be trusted with much. Whether you're working for somebody else or running a business with a partner who owns more shares than you are, and you're the one doing operations, be honest, because in so doing you will learn better, be better, and when He finally entrusts you with your own, you will do it better. Be responsible over your small business today. The Lord will see your responsibility in that business, and He will entrust you with larger and bless you with opportunities for greater business. So if you run a bakery, and because you sell 4 cakes a day, you decide, mi wacha nilale hadi saa 5. Leo niko na order ya keki ngapi? 3. Acha nilale hadi saa 5, niende nirushe cake, nirudi home saa 9. When you should be out looking for market to endear yourself to other customers. Shauri ni yako. Next. Raise a Christian standard in your business. Romans 12 verse 2. Do not conform to the patterns of the world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve that God's will is good, God's will is pleasing, God's will is perfect. I know the way business sometimes is run in the country it's easy to conform to the standards of the world. Hey, chota. Just be so endearing and kind. Yani mpaka yule anakuomba utoe kitu, anasema, lakini huyu ni Mkristo, acha tumpatie. It happens. Najua kuna mang'aa hapa nje, lakini I tell you it happens. I tell you because I have been in business. And these lessons I give you are lessons I have learned in business. I know what happens when you're not faithful in little. I know what happens when you're faithful in little. I have been on both sides of it all. Next. Sasa hapa corruption. Hapa ndio inakuanga ngori. Hapa ndio elders na mapasta wa kanisa wenye kwa biashara wanasema Yesu nisamee tu saa hii nichotee umsee nitarudi kanisani. It's hard. But by God's helping hand, as we transform our society, because corruption is by the giver and the taker. And I'm not saying go and tell people huwezi ona kitu hapa huoni. Just be kind, be a Christian. Just sasa my brother, ukisema unataka 20%, my total profit of this whole business is 8%. Sio utakuwa umeniumiza. Hata yeye anapiga hesabu. Sawa, utaleta hiyo yenye utataka. Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice. Next. Listen. Proverbs 10 verse 4 says, lazy hands make poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. There is no formula to the top in business. Just work hard. Ask people who have run businesses. I have a number of mentors. One of my greatest mentors is called Julius Kipngetich. Julius was my mentor from my university days when I was the president of SONU. And so I consult him a lot. One time, I went to him and said, David, hakuna kitu ingine? One, governance. Ensure you don't run your business like a kiosk. You make a profit, you eat it all. Na mimi nilikuwa nina make profit na eat all. Kabisa. Nasema, hey, God, you are good. Ninapata pesa hapa nimenunua apartment. Which is not bad. But if I had invested part of it in part of the business, it would yield more. And I learned so much. Then he said, Chief, put in the hours. It always shows up. You will see it. You put in the hours, you will see it. Next. Now, after you have made money, people, bless others. Be a blessing. Usikue wewe hata kuona ka 50 kako kakionekana ni Yesu. You are making so much, but you're so mean. How does the Lord fill up a vessel that's already full? How? And even water left in a bucket full for 2 years will run stale. He who refreshes others will themselves be refreshed. As the Lord blesses you, be a blessing to others to the extent you can. Don't kill yourself over it. Don't strain yourself to look good. Just do it and say, God, you know my heart is moved to this child who's going to school without fee. I wish I could help with more. But because you have blessed me with 3,000 shillings, I give it sacrificially to bless this child. And if you are a millionaire and you give 3,000 sacrificially, ni sawa, Mungu pia taona, hii 3,000 ni sacrificial ya milioni 20. Ni sawa, hiyo pia ni sacrifice, sawa. Wacha tutaonana nyuma ya hema na hiyo sacrifice yako. You know, I was still on that. 2 Corinthians, that was Proverbs 11. 2 Corinthians, and God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. Serve him in the sanctuary, serve him out there. If he blesses you abundantly, abound in good work. Finally, return to the owner. A story is told of the child whose dad bought a large piece of pie. So the dad took and said, "Oh honey, here's some pie." The baby said, "Oh daddy, I love you so much," and took the pie. So she went playing, eating a bit. Then the daddy came and said, "Oh daughter, can I have a little bit of pie?" "No daddy, it's too small." Because she'd eaten it. "Just a little bit of pie." Said, "No daddy, it's too small." So the next day, what does the dad do? The dad goes and gets another pie. Comes home. I said, "Oh daddy, you got me another pie." Daddy says, "No, I didn't bring you another pie, mama. I bought this for myself." "Daddy, give me a little." But the daddy said, "But baby, this is too small for daddy. You see, daddy's big. This is too small." Said, "Daddy, please give me a little." Said, "No, it's too small." Listen, God is the owner of the pie you hold. When it comes to tithing, don't start telling him how you have school fees when he gave you. Usianze siasa mingi when he only needs a little bit of the pie he has given you. Sasa ni siasa, hata kanisa waitumii vizuri. Listen, you do your job. Let him deal with the church if they don't use it well. The Bible is replete with examples of people who did not utilize God's giftings well and what God did to them. Ananias was one who lied about his blessing and said, "Hata haikuwa hivyo mingi." Listen, do your job. When the owner of the pie has given you a pie and he says, "Can I get a fraction of that pie?" Usilete ujuaji and then say, "But even people who don't go to church are rich." Wait until you know what they're dealing with. Where's my pianist? The pianist is the one I need here. Guys, the Lord bless you and open your eyes to opportunities. I'll be taking questions. But before I take questions, so that we are not too bored, I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in my darkest night. You are close like no other. I know you as a father, and I know you as as a friend. Oh, I have lived in the goodness of God. Can you stand up? Let's sing this beautiful song. Well, all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Thank you. All my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I will sing of the goodness of God. Thank you very much. This is where you sit down and I leave the stage, right?
Now you don't sit down, just remain there. Let's appreciate our speaker. Let me call him David.
Exactly.
Let me not really say the other name because I'm one of those who murder his second name. I don't want to try that. Although you also say it Kurobo.
Yeah.
Kurobo.
He needs to come to Mwalimu's class. This is good. Thank you.
We are truly blessed to have had David with us. And I think he has spoken to us real stuff. Not complicated stuff. Real stuff. Real things. Real information. Hapo ndio mahali tunasema serikali imesaidia. Serikali imesaidia. Pigia kofi serikali. Because the serikali saidia, serikali saidia, serikali. Now our time is up. Really up. But we were having questions. I just want to give two. The first two questions. Mentimeter, is it working? Is it working? Can we project the first two questions? There? Right.
Is it possible to get the slides? Sure.
Right.
They're with the church, so. Okay. Church, I'm giving permission. Please share that.
All right. Anything else? The second question.
How come multinationals like GlaxoSmithKline are closing shop? Is that what you want to ask? I can almost guess. Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there are global challenges and especially constraints of supply chain globally. And we also, in an attempt to dignify our workers in the country, we have done what some other countries have not done, and there are investors who may have a challenge with that, which is to set a minimum wage. Now, we are telling our investors, come into our country, but dignify Kenyans as well. Ensure they take something home that can sustain them. I'm not saying that is why GlaxoSmithKline is closing, but that's some of the sector of investors we've had challenges with are those who are adamant to pay something like 7,000 shillings a month. And you ask, by the time this guy has transport, itakuwa namna gani? For some of these sectors, they've been in country, but as our local sectors, competing sectors expand, they naturally find themselves edged out. Because drugs that we would buy for 200 a tablet, we are producing locally for 80 shillings. The markup doesn't make sense for some people, and you go, oops, we may have to close. So there are multiple challenges that inform the closure of some of the multinationals. But hey, here's the bright side. Take advantage. If one goes, the pharmaceutical sector is going to be remaining open. Please align and take advantage of the gap they leave.
Okay, final question. What's that?
That was well delivered. Just wondering who else can speak of the opportunities in the counties. Oops, they are going too fast. Okay, on the topic of corruption, we had draw the line in wanting to thank the individual who helped you acquire business, especially.
This answered that one.
No, I think that's a choice. Yeah. No. I mean, I'm in business. I think it's a choice for you to see. You can appreciate them in prayer if you choose. What I don't want is for you to get into business having clearly marked out that this percentage is going to be for something. That doesn't make sense. You're being corrupt. Whichever way you want to cover it up. But you see, gratitude, even I'm leaving office. I have recently done letters of commendation to my staff to appreciate them. I have given tokens of money to my staff who have been exemplary. Have I bribed them? Have I appreciated them? Next.
That was the final one.
Okay.
I think it's been a wonderful presentation. We have over 30 questions right there.
There's one here. No, just return that because
Which one?
I like taking hot things. Dear David, how come you say Kenya is a place to easily do business when the requirements and costs due to government charges are prohibitive, especially for SMEs? Okay. George, I want you to go back to 10 years ago and find out what it was to do business. Are we there yet? Not yet. Have we made strides to improve the business environment and the cost of doing business? By a lot. If you don't take advantage of the Biashara Center where you can have your business registered for free and you go to a lawyer who charges you 20,000, am I to blame after you know this information? No. If you are going to trademark and to get a trademark license and you're below 35 and someone goes and charges you 150,000 for a trademark after I have spoken here and sent you to Kipi, will you blame government? There's been a huge disconnect in information and communication. We have attempted to bridge that gap, but it's a gap too big that sometimes will only be bridged by how you as a business person is desirous of learning about the space in which you do business. So let's share this together. So yes, we are still moving forward. Yesterday, we were with the president who has made a commitment to ensure that our counties, because counties are the biggest culprit. I like what Sakaja is doing. He has made a commitment that they are going to have a single business permit. So that you are not run around by Kanjo every time. Wapia extinguisher, they come back. Wapia signage, they come back. One covers all. And it's an intervention we have made speaking to them at county level because some of these functions are county functions. Even the president must just beg the governor to initiate them. He can't do nothing about them. So the part that the national government ought to do, we have done. 10 years ago, you could not go online and register business. You couldn't. Today, you can.